Monday. Jack Briggs, you think you've won, but you're a pathetic little man, my estranged wife yelled. It was 1 week before the divorce hearing. 4 weeks after the convenience store incident, we stood on the courthouse steps, slowly walking away from the battle. Full custody had been reaffirmed. Talia Briggs, my ex, fumed as she left the building, heels clacking on the concrete. The glare she shot me could have melted steel. Ever since Lassiter had stepped into our lives, she'd been spiraling. Talia needed control, the way some people needed oxygen, and for the first time in years, she didn't have it. She hated that. Her actions only confirmed Judge Jimenez's decision that I had full custody and my son Jack was not to be anywhere near her affair partner, Chad Colton, the man Talia had destroyed our marriage for. Though we wouldn't revisit custody for 6 months, there was only 1 week until the final divorce hearing. I'm Jack Briggs. I work for NV Energy as a lineman, someone who works on telephone poles and high-intensity electrical towers, a regular guy trying to make ends meet. My wife, Talia Briggs, was a decorated detective with the LVMPD. We'd been married for 12 years. I helped her when she got her degree, supported her when she went through the police academy. I thought we were building a life. She began cheating about a year ago, and I had been stupid enough to believe her lies. It was one of those total cliché affairs. Chad was her trainer at the gym. I found out about him when Talia filed for divorce 4 months ago. She lives with him now in his 2-bedroom apartment in Inspirada, one of those new planned communities that are perfect for new families. Chad hates kids, cramps his groove. Yes, he really talks like that. Our son, Benji, was at school, 10 years old, going on 30. He hates spending every other weekend with his mom. Met Chad once, and it did not go well. After 1 weekend at their place, Judge Jimenez deemed it an inappropriate environment for a child. They meet in neutral locations now, and never overnight. For once, Talia didn't get her way, and that annoyed the living hell out of her. My lawyer, Harvey Doolin, stood near me, a briefcase in one hand and a yellow pad in the other. He had tragic hair that looked like he cut it himself in the bathroom mirror, and an Elmer Fudd tie. His strip mall office and 10-year-old Chevrolet Prism were testament that he only passed the bar barely before he started shaving. Good thing he only charges $50 an hour. Cheap compared to most, but it was all I could afford. The other man with us is a total enigma, Lassiter. We'd been seeing each other a few weeks. Mid-30s, I think, maybe 40. He's a bum that wanders Las Vegas, or as he calls it, Lost Vegas. Can't really tell much about him. Light brown hair, same with the stubble, though it's showing gray. He lives in the Adam Heights Motel and let us move in with him, free of charge. He even arranged for a door to be installed between our unit and the one next to ours, so Benji can have his own room. It also gave us privacy, or it will when it is finished. We share a bed, though we haven't done anything intimate. I don't need to give my soon-to-be ex, the current contender for Witch of the Month, ammunition. Lassiter has judges on speed dial, doesn't drive, and has a real ugly mutt named Belle. It's a boy dog with a female name. I've never asked why. People owe the man favors. He helped Arjun Patel become manager of the Adam Heights Motel, helped the Estavaria family finance their food truck, and Judge Jimenez knows him, or at least heard of him. Lassiter does not have a 9-to-5, but he's been tutoring me and my son on the stock market and reliable financial stability. He's a pauper, dressed in faded jeans, an old baseball jacket, and a shirt even Lip Gallagher wouldn't wear. I drove us back to the motel, Adam Heights, a cheap place that accepts cash. The manager, Arjun Patel, eyed my work truck as we pulled into our parking lot. I work at NV Energy, the power company for Las Vegas. Their logo is on the side of the truck. Lassiter didn't stick around. He took Belle outside. I grabbed a shower to relax and think. Talia had tried to take my son away, using a CPS loophole. It was only 1 week until the final divorce hearing. What would she try next? Maybe she wouldn't. She's not stupid. My life had changed. I was in a relationship that actually made me happy. It was different than what I shared with my former wife. With Talia, I felt like I couldn't keep up, not only because of her paycheck, but the lifestyle she wanted. She could afford expensive purses, shoes, dresses from some designer boutique, nights out partying until dawn. Because her job was so stressful, she deserved the best. Or at least that's what she told me in every financial fight we've had. She deserved the Louis Vuitton, the Gucci, the life denied us mere fathers who worked blue-collar jobs and took care of the kid. I wasn't man enough to satisfy her. She had told me, often. When she was mad, she usually yelled, "I should never have gotten married," and "A husband and a child are holding me back from being the woman I want to be." She meant not only from living, but being effective at her job. She was a regular detective, but made 50 grand more than me. Talia was climbing the LVMPD ladder on the fast track to make senior detective, with a good shot at becoming detective sergeant. Her motive for the divorce? Get away from the people dragging her down? Or live with her boyfriend? Or make more money? I don't know. She filed, expecting to get half of everything, but got denied by the prenup. Sneaky little infidelity clause her father had snuck in, and we both signed. They thought I would cheat. I'm still laughing about that one. She'll get nothing except what she brought to the marriage, and her trainer, Chad Colton, of course. I'll be generous and let her have all the stinking furniture, too. I don't need the memories. Did she ever love me? When we first married, our paychecks were equal. As she began to earn more, the attitude changed. When Benji was born, instead of our child bringing us closer, she pulled away. I turned the hot water off and grabbed a white towel from the rack. A set of wind chimes clambered from the other room. My ringtone. A text from an unknown number. "What do you know about Lassiter? Be careful, very careful." I texted back, "Who is this?" No reply. I suspect it was my ex-wife. She liked to do stuff like this. Chapter 2, Tuesday at 10:20 a.m. I was at work atop one of the poles in the residential district of East Vegas, near the apartment complexes off the Bonanza Road corridor. I was 30 feet up, hanging just under the crossarm, replacing the polymer bells that kept the primary line from grounding through the pole. Less than a yard away were the secondary lines, 240 volts. Nothing compared to the 7,200 humming through the primary above my head. Power lines buzz, louder than bees when you're this close. The ozone smell was sharp, almost masking the grease stench baked into the hardware. The hairs along my arms lifted with static. My gaffs bit into the wood with each shift of my weight, the short metal spikes keeping me stable. My positioning strap cinched tight around the pole, holding me in place while I worked. My phone rang. I glanced at the screen. Benji, my son. He usually texted, not called. "Bad timing, bud. I'm up a pole. What's up?" "Mom's at school," he whispered, voice thin and shaky. "There's a man with her, and she's trying to check me out of classes." "Is the man in uniform?" No, he's wearing gym clothes. I'm scared. Is it Chad? Can't really see him, but I think so. His words were a 2x4 to the brain. My heart chilled. Talia should have been at work, not at Benji's elementary school, especially not with that man. Chad Colton. How dare she bring her affair partner around my son? I forced my voice steady. She's not authorized to pick you up. I removed her from the emergency contact list. That's what the office said, but Mom's arguing. Even if I were on the ground, I was 30 minutes away. I checked the polymer bells one last time, packed my gear, and said, "Where are you?" Principal's office. In the background, Talia's voice rose, muffled but furious. "He is my son. You can't deny me." "Stay there, bud. I'm coming." Chapter 3, 10:30. Talia yelled again. "I'm not leaving without him." I unclipped from the cross arm and prepared to descend. Maybe Lassiter was closer. He depended on bus schedules, but I had to try. He picked up on the second ring. "Good morning. Would you like to do lunch again?" His tone was casual, smiling. I cut him off. Talia's at Benji's school. Why? Check him out of school, I think. My voice cracked despite my trying to stay calm. Are you close? Lassiter's reply was stone, steady but incredulous. She's trying to check him out at 10:30 in the morning? Most schools don't have lunch until around 11:30. Let Harvey Doolin know. I'm on my way. I hung up and called Doolin, my lawyer. By the time I was off the pole, he had confirmed that Talia had no legal authority to pick up Benji. I told my work partner what was happening. Within 3 minutes, the truck was packed, and I was in the driver's seat. By the first traffic light, I had the school on speakerphone. I recognized the voice of the school secretary as soon as she picked up. Do not release Benji to Talia Briggs, I yelled. She's threatening to call the police, the secretary yelled back. She does not have the authority to take my son, I yelled. My partner buckled his seatbelt and clutched the handle above the door. His nod said he was ready. My friend Lassiter, I continued, does, and he is on the way. So is my lawyer. Mention a lawyer and a school gets serious. Have a screaming wife with a custody dispute, and they get terrified. A second muffled voice spoke, the principal's voice. Teachers, if any of you have the DVD about the Washington Monument, would you please send it to the office? Thank you. In the middle of everything? That was an odd request. Unless it wasn't a request at all. The principal had just ordered a soft lockdown. Potential security issue in the building. Exterior doors sealed. Classroom doors locked with all students kept inside. No one allowed into the hall for any reason. Police notified. Rapid response time, 3 minutes or less. All without students knowing something was happening. What had Talia done? Did she even realize how serious this was? Chapter 4. I called my son back. Keep talking, Benji, I ordered as I pushed the speed limit into warp drive. My partner must have called emergency because it wasn't long before we had a police escort. Sirens blazing, traveling ahead of us and clearing a path. My partner held the handle with both hands, screaming like he was on a roller coaster. Glad someone's having fun. My mind went numb, and I didn't remember the drive. I just followed the police lights, never blinking. My stomach twisting like moray eels. Benji kept a running commentary, or maybe he just let me listen to the drama. Dad, Benji yelled through the phone. The district police showed up. It says Clark County School District Police on the sides of their doors. Great, freaking great. The LVMPD would arrive next. What did we call this back in the Army? This was about to become a complete FCOP. A freaking cluster of epic proportions. About 10 minutes out, the phone gave a thump and a faint reply. came in my son's voice. "Lassiter, you came. Where's Dad?" How had the man gotten there before me? I wouldn't relax, not until I held my son. Lassiter must have taken the phone from Benji. "Jack, you there?" "How did you get there so fast?" "Uber," he replied. "Amazing what a large cash tip can do. Benji's safe. Both Talia and Chad are here." "Thank you." His reply caught me off guard. "It's what you do for family." Chapter 5, 11 a.m. I pulled into the small parking lot, stomach churning at the sight of 2 Clark County Security SUVs, 2 black and white cruisers, and most disturbing of all, a fire truck and an ambulance. Whatever happened, they were taking it terrifyingly, horrifyingly serious. Talia's Tesla was double-parked in front of the main doors, angled like she hadn't expected to stay long. My lawyer, Doolin, was sprinting across the lot, his briefcase slapping against his leg. He hadn't seen me yet. The school grounds were disturbingly silent. No kids on the field, no lunch groups, no movement at all. Just the faint hiss of police comm units. My partner glanced at me. "I don't like this." I nodded and lifted the phone. "Lassiter, I'm here. Doolin just arrived. Where are you and Benji?" "They moved us to the library so the principal can use her office," Lassiter said, calm as ever. "They're expecting you." "I want Benji out of there." "Tacos Joe for lunch?" he replied, with a hint of his usual smile. "Where are they at today?" I asked. "Same spot. We'll see you there." A pause. "And Jack?" "Yes." "Document this, then send it to Doolin." Chapter 6, 11:15. The cops let me in the building, escorting me directly to the library, my partner rushing behind us. My partner offered to drive Lassiter and Benji to Taco Joe's. He'd come back for me in an hour. I gave Lassiter and Benji a hug. Lassiter pressed a small recording device into my hand. Good for 150 hours continuous recording. "But a phone can record." "Only until the battery dies, and even then, only short videos. Remember, verify, trust, verify." "Did you do that with me and Benji?" I asked. He nodded. "I do that with everyone. I don't have many friends. You and Benji are among the few." "You barely know us." His eyes softened. "I like the man I see. Benji's safe with me." Lassiter, a strange, enigmatic man who I knew nothing about, but stood by me during the worst time of my life. Yet there was something about him that drew me in, something that woke some inner part of me that had shut down with Talia, an electric thrill that made me smile. This was Vegas, home of 1-hour weddings, lucky nights, and a promise that anything that happens in Vegas remains in Vegas. We shared a look, only for a second, but it felt like an eternity. A connection formed between us, something deep, something personal, something I couldn't name. Lassiter hugged me and then left. Chapter 7, 11:30. I knocked on the glass door. A police officer opened, and I stepped inside. Walking into the principal's office felt like walking into a principal's office. My soon-to-be ex waited inside, along with the police and the man she destroyed our life for. I wasn't sure who caused worse indigestion. The air smelled of a jasmine-scented candle mixed with the waxy scent of crayons. The photocopier whirred in the other room as it spat out hundreds of pages. Talia's perfume hung thick in the air conditioning. Principal Reyes sat behind her desk. Talia and Chad had taken 2 of the 3 chairs in front of her. My lawyer occupied the third. Tweed jacket, Tweety bird tie, and for once, combed hair. 2 CCSD officers and 2 LVMPD officers stood along the walls. Talia's voice was hoarse when she screamed, "You stole my son!" I held up the recorder like I was presenting a magic trick. I pressed the button deliberately. For everyone's protection, I'm recording this meeting. This will be sent to my lawyer and Judge Jimenez. If you don't want to be recorded, you're free to leave. Otherwise, I let the silence finish the sentence. You can't do that, Talia yelled. Nevada law disagrees. I spoke clearly into the device. Present are Jack Briggs, Harvey Doolin, my attorney, Principal Reyes, 2 CCSD officers, 2 LVMPD officers, Talia Briggs, and Chad Colton. Chad stood, tugging at his shorts. God, he looked the same age as I was when Talia and I got married. This doesn't really concern me. I'll wait outside. Chad tried to sound innocent. I wasn't buying what he was selling. Sit down, boy, I growled. You became part of this the moment you slept with my wife. Talia's eyes narrowed. You cannot keep me from my son. I have rights. I'm his mother. And if you continue to scream, I said, aiming the recorder toward her, I'll forward this to your supervisor and internal affairs. You can't order me around, she snapped. But her voice dropped when the recorder pointed her way. Doolin cleared his throat, slipping into professional mode. As I was explaining, Mr. Briggs has full custody. He determines who does and does not have access to the child, including at school and during activities. The court granted you provisional contact, Mrs. Briggs, but only in neutral locations, and never in the presence of Mr. Colton. That's ridiculous, Talia said. But I noted how she kept her tone lower. Which you are currently in defiance of, Doolin replied, his tone even and sharp. Your attorney may raise the issue in court. If the judge believes it merits review, a hearing will be scheduled. My lawyer walked out, Talia said, her voice rising again. The police officers exchanged glances. The CCSD officers folded their arms and shifted closer to her chair. Right, I'd forgotten. Her lawyer had bolted the moment he realized Lassiter stood beside me and Benji. Why had he been so afraid? Had Lassiter been a lawyer? A judge? He dressed in rags, had judges on speed dial, and lived in a motel. Time to think about that later. Talia, if you want access to our son outside your scheduled visits, you go through me. If you don't... I paused. We'll pursue a restraining order. I glanced at Doolin. He nodded. Intentionally violating a custody order, he said, especially by disrupting the child's schedule, can result in immediate court-ordered consequences. Principal Reyes's jaw tightened. Mrs. Briggs, it's time for you to exit the premises. You've interrupted student learning enough for one day. Leave now, or I will press charges. Talia bit her knuckle, clutched Chad's hand, and finally said, I thought that if Benji got to know Chad better, a simple lunch or something, we could become a family again. And that was when my lawyer lit the match that would burn everything down. Ma'am, Doolin said, let's pretend neither one of us is stupid. You are a detective and you know the law. You understand custody disputes because you deal with them all the time. I stood a little taller, trying to understand what Doolin was getting at. Doolin continued, You came here with an agenda. That's obvious. Were you trying to make your husband appear irrational? Were you pushing boundaries to see what you can get away with? Some type of manipulation tactic with some purpose I can't figure out yet? Doesn't matter. Talia's jaw clenched tighter than a steel drum. Her eyes flashed fury. Good thing I was recording it. It backfired, and now you look like the out-of-control wife who cheated, Doolin said, rising to his feet. Ma'am, You need to understand that your choices destroyed your husband, and as consequences, obliterated your relationship with your son. For full transparency, I am legally required to report this incident to Judge Jimenez. I doubt he will be pleased that a member of our LVMPD acted this way. Chapter 8. I joined Lassiter and Benji at Taco Joe's, my partner sliding into the seat beside me. Doolin had already headed back to his office after I sent him the audio file. I handed the recorder back to Lassiter. Thanks, it came in handy. He nodded once. What now? I don't want Benji going back to school today. Maybe not for a few days. I need to talk to Doolin first. Make sure something like this never happens again. Benji hadn't said a word since I arrived. He just stared at his tacos al pastor, avocado, pineapple, the works, like they were a video game frozen mid-level. Lassiter leaned toward him, brows softening. I can take the pineapple off if you want. YouTube says pineapple keeps your brain sharp, and I could use all the help I can get. He said it with a lightness in his tone, but his eyes mirrored his concern. Benji looked up. What do I do now? What do you mean? I asked, liberating one of the pineapples from the evil taco empire and eating it. Benji fiddled with his food, his gaze focusing on the ketchup bottle. Will Mom try again? Lassiter and I shared a glance, and I think we both thought the same thing. What would my wife do next? Don't hold this against her. I tried to say calmly, even though I masked a deep fury. She's still your mother, and will always love you. Do I have to like Chad? Benji asked. No, Lassiter said, pulling his phone out. He typed something in it. My roommate was calculating again. What are you doing? Lassiter frowned. Verify, trust, verify. Always. Chad, you mean? He gave me a quirky little smile. Time to verify. The way he said it, like it was nothing but business, but it had an undercurrent underneath. What had the text from the other day said? What do you know about Lassiter? Be careful, very careful. It didn't come from Talia's phone. Except for Benji's school, no one knew we were an item. Maybe Talia had figured things out. The Estevarius maybe had figured things out. Judge Withers, maybe. Judge Jimenez, maybe. Maybe Talia's former liar? Lassiter looked harmless, a homeless bum dressed up more than he did. But there was a dangerous edge to him. There was money, too. I didn't know how much, but I suspected it was more than he let on. The man was well informed, and his phone? It wasn't a cheap flip phone, but the latest version of Android. His internet connection downloaded pages faster than mine, and he texted with the ferocity of a teenager. That was a little too easy. Found him. Lassiter held his phone up, sleek navy blue case, silver Yankees logo gleaming. On the screen was a stylized shirtless picture of Chad, posing at some gym. His Instagram page was exactly what I expected. Gym selfies, rooftop bar shots, and Talia smiling beside him, like she didn't have a care in the world. You sound disappointed, I said, trying and failing to hide the pang of seeing my wife with another man. Lassiter half smiled. The real question is, why was it so easy to find him? Let's find out. Benji perked up, leaning closer, awe flickering across his face. At least he didn't look scared anymore. 627 total photos, Lassiter narrated. Last post was yesterday, around 7 p.m. Restaurant, Talia's with him. His profile has links, too. Facebook, YouTube, and one to a website. Start with the Facebook, Paco said, setting a platter of tacos on the table. My cousin, he says Facebook tells secretos. Let's see what secretos we can find. Lassiter clicked the link. Facebook revealed more secrets. Not only was Chad a musclehead, he worked out a fitness extravaganza and had dozens of clients. It also said he was in a relationship with Talia. No last name. He promoted some kind of protein powder and a line of hoodies. An influencer wannabe, Benji said, disgust ricocheting in his voice. He make any money? Lassiter scanned a couple of things. He hasn't reached monetary requirements. I pulled up his YouTube channel. Video amounts are the same. He must dual post content. Subscribers are an even 950. He posts things called The 6 Exercises for a Six-Pack and A Day in the Life of a Trainer. Monetization on YouTube requires 1,000 subscribers minimum, Lassiter said. I'll pull up the website. A smiling picture of Chad appeared with smaller pictures of him helping clients. Colton Fitness, personal training, I read. A business website, Lassiter replied. He has to keep up appearances. Benji finally said something. Isn't a trainer having sex with his clients against the law? Benji, I warned, you're being disrespectful. What? I'm just asking, Benji said, his voice regaining some of his original cheerfulness. Lassiter nodded. Kid has a point. It isn't illegal, but it's a morally gray area. Then he said something that told me exactly how sharp he really was. That is his weak spot. Do you want to use it? I took the phone from him, flipped back to Facebook, and typed a comment beneath one of Chad's smiling idiot posts. Isn't a trainer having sex with a married client against the law? Chapter 10. I was about to hit post when I saw Benji's face. A child's face, innocent in all of this, in spite of what he's learned from the internet. Revenge is easy. That's the part nobody tells you. It sits right there, just under the skin, like a splinter you can't stop touching. One comment, one post, one moment of letting the anger speak for you. I could ruin Chad's day, his reputation, maybe even his job. God knows he deserves worse. And for a second, I wanted it. I wanted the satisfaction. I wanted the sting. I wanted him to feel even a fraction of what he helped do to my family. But then I saw Benji, his face, his eyes, the way he was watching me. Not scared, not angry, just waiting, like he was trying to figure out what kind of man his father really was. The anger inside me chilled. What was the bitterness turning me into? Suddenly, the revenge didn't feel sharp anymore. It felt small, petty, beneath me. What good would it do to tear down another man if my son had to watch me become someone he couldn't respect? What would it teach him? That pain justifies cruelty? That anger is a compass? That when someone hurts you, you get to hurt them back? Would I want my son to see his father destroying another man, even if the creep had destroyed our family? No, that's not the father I want to be, not the example I want to set. I've already lost enough. I won't lose myself too. So I deleted the comment, not because Chad didn't deserve it, but because Benji deserved better. I handed the phone back to Lassiter, trying to smile, but I think it came across as sad. His brows furrowed, and he nodded as if he understood. I wrapped an arm around my son and hugged him instead. Benji was what was important. Chapter 11. Arjun had hired contractors to demo a door-sized hole in the wall and install the door frame and door, a 2-day project. Lassiter told him what he wanted. Arjun nodded, took notes, and made phone calls. Arjun didn't complain, merely said that rent would be a little higher next month. Lassiter made a note on his phone. It was almost as if Arjun was talking to the owner about potential upgrades. Lassiter couldn't be the owner of Adam Heights, could he? He was paying monthly rent. Or simply calling it rent. What if his monthly rent was a sneaky way of paying Arjun's salary and using the motel he owned as his home? A building like this in East Vegas would run a cool $1 million, easy. That could mean Lassiter was insanely wealthy? That's a stupid idea. He's just an eccentric middle-aged man who saves money by not spending any. A man who made coffee every morning. A man my kid trusted. A man who somehow fit into our life without asking for anything in return. That didn't make him a secret millionaire. It just made him Lassiter. We'd formed a morning routine. Lassiter took Belle out. Benji got ready for school. I made breakfast and got ready for work. If we had time, Lassiter coached me on stocks. Things like, there is no such thing as a sure bet. Keep at least half your portfolio in low-risk investments, and don't touch it. That is your stable income. It pays your bills. Somewhere along the way, the chaos of my life had settled into something that felt suspiciously like home. Not the house I used to live in, not the version of family I'd tried to hold together for too long. This was quieter, softer, built out of smaller things. Belle's leash hanging by the door, Benji's backpack half sipped, Lassiter's coffee mug always in the wrong place. It wasn't the life I expected, but it was the first one in a long time that didn't feel like I was holding it together by myself. Thursday, I dropped Benji off at Bonanza Gas and Groceries and waited for Talia to drive up. It was her appointed day. She drove up, not looking at me, and waited for Benji to climb in. I couldn't hear what they said. My stomach was a nest of vipers as I watched them drive away. I couldn't shake the feeling that something bad was about to happen. The final divorce hearing was on Monday, 4 days from now. Would Talia abduct our son? She wouldn't do anything that stupid, I hope. Lassiter and I wandered through the farmer's market, not far from the Adam Heights. The intuitive forager. We didn't have a kitchen, only a coffee maker and a fridge, so why shop? But Lassiter liked talking to people, and people liked talking to him. Maybe that was reason enough. The market buzzed around us, vendors calling out prices, kids tugging at sleeves, the smell of roasted corn drifting through the air. Lassiter knew many of the vendors, and we sampled a variety of pears. I bought a bag of sugar bee apples we could snack on later. Somewhere between the eggplants and the white corn, we held hands. It wasn't obvious or planned, just natural. His hand was warm in mine, smooth against my calloused one, and under the Vegas sun, something in me settled. He had a hard, strong grip, which surprised me. I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace, maybe, or acceptance, or simply the sense that I wasn't on trial every second of the day. We were from two different worlds, yet somehow the two of us meshed together. Puzzle pieces from different boxes that still managed to fit. We drove to Bonanza Gas and Groceries at 7 in the evening to pick up Benji. My gut churned. Lassiter handed me the recorder. My gut relaxed when Talia's car pulled up. As I got out, I made a show right in front of her of turning the recorder on. Talia's face remained expressionless. Benji burst out of the car as if it smelled. He ran straight to Lassiter. Talia seemed to debate whether to get out of the car and say something. Her brain decided against it. As Benji cleared the car, she backed up. and drove away. Benji's first words scared away my appetite. We went to the giant Ferris wheel, Big Spender or something. Then we went to some restaurant. The High Roller, supposed to have the best view of Vegas, Lassiter said. Toss me one of those apples. I love sugar bees. Benji shifted to one foot and didn't look at either of us. Chad was at the restaurant. Chapter 11. I stared, not believing the bomb my son had just dropped. Lassiter took over. You do realize that's a defiance of the custody order. Jack, you need to let Doolin know. We need to let Belle out. I led them toward my truck. I should be angry, but instead I was tired. Not the kind sleep fixes, the kind that comes from fighting the same battle every day and losing ground anyway. I was tired of the divorce, tired of the fear, tired of feeling like one wrong move would cost me my son. Lassiter placed a hand on my shoulder. His gentle smile said he understood without saying a word. Benji mumbled something. What's that? I asked. Mom had to take a work call. His voice was subdued, but it gained volume as he spoke. So she went outside and left me and Chad alone. I wasn't scared. I was mad. Lassiter and I looked at each other, both dreading the next words. Benji continued, I told Chad you could destroy him any time because sleeping with a client is illegal. I told him you could have demolished his career last night, but you didn't. He asked why, and you know what I told him? This was getting worse by the second. I forced my face to stay kind, or I hoped it was. What did you tell him, son? That though my dad does not have as many muscles, but at least he knows how to treat people nice, not like scum who breaks a family. Inwardly, I groaned. Outwardly, I hugged my son. Don't worry about it. It was weird, Benji said. I think he was scared, 'cause he got real quiet. He didn't talk even when Mom got back. He was wearing this beaded bracelet, you know, the kind Grandpa always wears. Zanmala beads? Lassiter asked. I have one made from lava rock. Would you like it? Sure. Grandpa's are green, and Chad's was black. Benji shrugged. Anyway, he kept playing with it, turning it around his wrist over and over. Do you think somebody has a guilty conscience? Lassiter murmured. Benji looked from me to Lassiter and back again. Sorry, I didn't mean to make things worse. I just got mad. Sunday, one day before the divorce. Lassiter, Benji, and me went to the afternoon matinee showing of the new Spider-Man movie. 2 hours and 10 minutes of pure delight for Benji, and a comfortable interlude holding Lassiter's hand, sharing popcorn, and feeling safe. He placed an arm around my shoulders, and for once, I didn't feel like I had to carry the entire load. That one gesture eased the burden I'd been enduring for the last few months, lessened the stress I'd internalized about the divorce, and for a few minutes, the gnawing guilt whether I was doing the right thing vanished. I relaxed into his arm, surrendering the strain, even for a few minutes. Did Dad sleep through the entire movie? Benji whispered. Poor guy is exhausted. A slight kiss on my forehead from Lassiter. You and I need to protect him. I didn't move. I enjoyed the stillness. Benji's voice grew subdued. Why did Mom have to do this? And Lassiter said, some adults are very talented at taking something beautiful and making it complicated. I have no doubt that both your parents love you deeply. Doesn't feel like it, Benji said. Can I tell you something? Anything. Sometimes I feel like a tennis ball. Hit back and forth, Lassiter replied, from one side of the net to the other, and it never seems to stop. Yeah, happened to you? Not like what's happening to you, but close enough. It made me want to be as independent as soon as possible, so I'd never be that ball again." "Did it work?" "It did," he said. "Can you show me how?" "Already started." Monday morning. D-Day. The final hearing was at 10:30 a.m. I have never been so nervous. Hear the one about cats stuck in a paper bag? More like hyenas. Lassiter came with me. Benji refused to let me go alone. What had he said? "This affects both of us, so you can't leave me out." Why do the worst days always happen on bright, sunny mornings? I didn't feel very sunny. More of a cloudy, expect hurricanes to blow up your life kind of mood. The courtroom smelled like freshly changed air conditioner filters and old lady perfume. Doolin sat right next to me, the others in the seats behind me. Doolin leaned over, his voice low, spoke in a voice like scripture. "No matter what Talia says, be a gray rock. No emotion, no outburst, and do not look like a wounded bird." Benji, bless him, asked the question I wanted to ask. "What's a gray rock?" Doolin finally smiled. "Our secret weapon. Show as much interest as a gray rock. Keep your face blank. You too, Benji." I don't have to remind Lassiter. He's a pro. "Why be a gray rock?" Benji asked. "Your mom is going to say things. I expect mean and cruel things, to sway the judge and try to make you react. Don't give her anything." "Why would Mom say cruel things?" Benji said. I was the one to answer. "It's all a performance to try and get as much money as she can." "It's her last chance." Lassiter nodded at the heavy double doors leading to the hall. I sat a little taller and swallowed. Doolin straightened his Bugs Bunny bow tie. The show was about to start. Talia and her new lawyer walked in. Talia in a navy blue professional suit, ironically the same color as a police uniform. The lawyer was a woman about 50, in a sharp black jacket with matching skirt and black practical pumps. She reminded me of a crow staring down at us from high atop the power lines, ready to swoop in. I had the feeling, call it a dad gut feeling, that Doolin was out of his depth. Talia scanned the room. Her eyes went into that fury stare only woman can achieve. And then she spotted me. She marched like a cadet in basic training. Heavy footfall, the deliberate march. 1, 2, 3, 4, right to where I was sitting. I don't think she registered Lassiter or Benji, and definitely not Doolin. It didn't matter that another case was in mid-session. She stormed over, lightning crackling at her fingertips. I had never seen her so furious. "What did you do?" Her hiss was more of a shout. Doolin gave me a glance, then quickly nodded in Judge Jimenez's direction. My lawyer's meaning was clear. Stay quiet at all costs. Fortunately, I didn't have to say anything. Talia did. "Are you trying to ruin my life?" The judge looked up. So did the bailiff. A very stern scowl came her way. I acknowledged my soon-to-be ex with a simple, "Talia?" "Mrs. Briggs," Doolin said, "it's time to get started. Please take your seat." Talia lowered her voice, but only just barely. "Chad left me, said he was tired of the drama. You said something to him. You're nothing but a bitter man who has no money and no ambition." The bailiff cleared his throat. Talia's high-priced lawyer walked over, pausing as she came close. "I apologize for my client." Lassiter quietly said, "Benji, no need to be scared. It's just adults flapping jaws." The woman lawyer in black noticed Lassiter and Benji. "Lassiter? Talia never told me you were involved." I had to smile. How did Lassiter know so many people? The wide-eyed surprise in Talia's eyes was worth every penny I'd spent on Doolin. Lassiter played it cool as if this happened every Tuesday. Maybe it did for him. "Evelyn, it has been too long," he replied, his voice warm. "Jack and I have become good friends, with the promise of something more. It's nothing serious yet, but he and his son are very good people." She nodded. "Tell Louise I said hi. It's been nearly a year since we've done lunch." "Perhaps a dinner party," Lassiter said. "Bring your husband. Louise can bring hers, and I'll bring Jack." "Taco Joe's, but this time a table in the shade." She nodded at the three of us before leading a stunned Talia back to their side of the courtroom. "Don't worry, Mrs. Briggs," she replied. "I will be impartial, but your confirmed infidelity is a tough call." Benji looked at his shoes, his face going red. "Benji," I said, my voice a little stern, "what haven't you told me?" Benji looked at me, his eyes full of innocence and guilt and maybe a speck of pride. How do kids make that look, and why do I fall for it every time? He finally looked up at me. "I might have told Chad that you were going to sue him for 20 grand for causing alienation of affection. I looked it up on the internet, and you can do it. Sue him so bad his business falls apart." Lassiter rolled his eyes and playfully ruffled my son's hair. "I like the way he thinks." Doolin only nodded. "Nevada doesn't allow pursuit of alienation of affection, but we can pursue emotional distress with child involved. We probably wouldn't get $20,000, but I can add it as a separate lawsuit once the divorce is finalized." I nodded and smiled. Epilogue. 2 weeks after the divorce was finalized, Lassiter and I were sitting in our room at the Adam Heights. Benji was playing Xbox over in his. The door between the units had been installed. Doolin had dropped off the final divorce papers earlier today, wearing a Marvin the Martian tie. Every time I see him, he had a different tie. Lassiter sat beside me, a glass of white wine in hand, and poured me one. I took it, and we clinked glasses together. I popped the question that had been bugging me ever since the divorce was finalized. "How do you know so many judges and attorneys?" Lassiter smiled and placed an arm behind me. "Judge Withers is my big sister." The end. Thank you guys for staying with me. I'm Gio, author and narrator of this story, and Bentley is with me. He's in charge of special effects. He's currently sleeping, so you probably didn't hear a lot of special effects. Anyway, thank you guys for staying with us. I appreciate it. We'll see you next time. I love you all. Peace, my friends.